Louis Drax is a 9-year-old accident-prone boy. Ever since he was a child, he has been through various accidents that almost killed him. He has been miraculously able to survive every accident he has been through, like a chandelier falling on him, being electrocuted, food poisoning, tetanus, meningitis, and many more. Her mother, Natalie Drax, believes that he is an angel, and just like a cat that has 9 lives, she thinks that Louis is also living his 9th life. Louis spent his 9th birthday on a picnic with his parents near a cliff, from where he fell into a cold river. The police are investigating the various possibilities of how Louis could fall off a cliff. Louis is taken away from the river through a helicopter and is brought to the nearest hospital. Louis appears to be in a critical condition, and after seeing no hope of him gaining consciousness, Dr. Janik pronounces Louis dead at 1955. When Louis's body is being taken away for postmortem, he is revived back to life. Dr. Pascal, a specialist in pediatric coma, is giving his TED Talk speech on the launch of his new book. During his speech, he also shares his experience of sleepwalking when he was a child. After the conference, he is taken back to the hospital where he is appointed Louis's case. Dr. Janik says that he hasn't seen anything like this before, but Dr. Pascal believes it is one of those rare cases that can happen. Dr. Pascal informs Natalie that Louis is in a coma and that he would be looking after him. Natalie requests to see Louis, and she also lets Dr. Pascal know that she always believed that she could communicate with Louis. Before the incident, Louis used to have sessions with his psychiatrist, Dr. Perez. Louis always felt that Dr. Perez was never a good mind reader. In their first session, Louis tells Perez about he read the Bible and growing up. Louis also lets him know that growing up is easy, and upon inquiring Louis if he's looking forward to growing up, to which Louis says that he believes that he is never going to grow up, Louis is transferred to the coma bay, where he would be looked after by Dr. Pascal. Dr. Janik briefs Dr. Pascal on the entire accident, and he also informs him that Louis's father, Peter Drax, is the main suspect in pushing Louis off the cliff and he is on the run. In a flashback of another session with Dr. Perez, Louis lets Perez know that he has always been either in a small accident or a big accident. The big ones were where he always ended up in a hospital. Upon asking if Louis loves to be at the hospital, he replies that he hates the part where he is in pain, but loves the attention he gets. Perez starts to think that Louis might cause all of the accidents himself just to get attention. Officer Dalton, who is in search of Peter, briefs Dr. Pascal about Louis. She tells him that Louis was referred to as Wacko Boy and had no friends. Pascal and Natalie go out for a walk, and Natalie compliments him on the impressive things she has heard about him. Pascal says that he thinks that Louis is just in a deep sleep, and all they have to do is to coax him out, to which Natalie inquires if Louis is hiding. Louis appears to be talking and telling his story to a giant sea creature when he is in a coma. Louis reminisces about the time when his father took him to the Sea World in San Diego. During the dolphin show, Louis and Peter ran into another woman, Caitlin, who is with her husband along with their 2 adopted Chinese girls and a newly born baby. Louis observes that Peter has got nervous during this unexpected meetup. When Louis questioned Peter about her, Peter lets him know that he used to be married to Caitlin. He also asks Louis to not tell his mother about it, but everything turns into chaos when they return home, and Louis tells his mother about everything. A huge argument breaks out between Peter and Natalie. During a session with Dr. Perez, Louis tells him that he is aware that Peter isn't his biological father. When Perez asks him who could be his real father, Louis replies that it could be anyone. Dr. Janik has set a birthday party for his son. During the party, Pascal notices that Janik has also invited Natalie. Janik thinks that it could do her some good. Natalie goes to meet Pascal, where she is also introduced to Pascal's wife, Sophie. The entire meetup creates an uncomfortable situation for Pascal. One day, Natalie brings Louis's hamster to the hospital, to which Pascal improves for one time only. In another flashback, Louis is seen trying to eliminate that hamster by squashing it with a big book. During a session with Dr. Perez, Louis tells him about the right of disposal, which is a rule of eliminating your pet if it has lived on for more than 2 years. Perez begins to ask questions about Peter. This upsets Natalie, who ends Louis's sessions with Perez. After this, Louis sends a letter to Perez with hamster droppings in it. Pascal questions the reason for ending the sessions. Natalie thought that Perez was suspicious of Peter, and he was trying to turn her against Peter. Natalie tells Pascal about the entire accident, how everything was going perfectly, and how one argument led to Louis falling off a cliff. Natalie also lets Pascal know that Peter is the only man she has ever been with. During the conversation, both Natalie and Pascal make out. Natalie sees that Louis has woken up from the coma only to go back into it again. In a flashback, Peter tells Louis that he is going away for some time to leave with his mother. Dr. Pascal has now become attached to Louis more than ever. He decides to read him his favorite book, The Living Sea. After some time, Pascal sees traces of seawater and seaweed on the floor. As he follows those traces, he finds a giant sea creature lying on the floor. Pascal wakes up and realizes that it was only a dream. When playing squash together, Janik lets Pascal know that everyone knows that he has been hanging around with Natalie. Natalie calls Pascal to her home, where he shows him a letter she has received. The letter was addressed by Louis, who tells his mom that she should stay away from all men. Everyone believes that it can't be Louis as he is in a coma, and they think it could only be done by Peter. As she doesn't feel safe at home, Pascal allocates a room for Natalie at the hospital. Officer Dalton advises Pascal to avoid any personal relationship with Natalie for the time being. Pascal goes to visit Perez, who tells him about Louis' condition. Perez shows him the letter Louis gave him. Perez says that he used to believe that Louis had been causing all of the accidents to seek attention, but he now thinks that his father must be involved in some way or another. Pascal shows him the threatening letter that Natalie received. Perez, at first, thinks that Louis may have written that letter, but after being informed that Louis is in a coma, Perez thinks his father may have written it. Sophie is in Pascal's office, and after reading another threatening letter that states that Pascal should stay away from Natalie, Sophie leaves upset. Officer Dalton inquires about any new information Pascal may have elicited from Natalie. Dalton also tells him that Natalie put Louis up for adoption when he was just a baby. A frustrated Pascal asks Natalie why she lied to him about only being with one man when Peter isn't Louis' biological father. Natalie lets him know that the nature of Louis' conception is something she would never wish on any woman, indicating that she was physically harassed. She also tells him a man named Joe, who she spent only one night with, is Louis' biological father. After the conversation, they both get intimate with each other. Natalie tells Louis, who is still in coma, that he once got himself in a severe accident and barely made it out alive. That night, Peter was by their side and he comforted them. He and Natalie were married 1 year after that, but she now believes that Peter has become a different man. While he is in coma, the sea creature takes Louis to a deep cave. Peter's mother, Violet Drax, has arrived to see Louis but not before getting into an altercation with Natalie. Violet tells Pascal about how Peter used to love Louis more than himself and would have never hurt him. She also shares the negative feelings she has for Natalie. Officer Dalton interrupts their discussion and informs Violet that Peter has passed away. His body was found at the same place where Louis had fallen. While taking him deep into the cave, the sea creature tells Louis about a story of a male bat and 2 female bats. The male had to pick between the 2 female bats. One used to laugh and the other used to cry. The male bat chose the one that always cried to make her feel happy. That female bat only cried to gather attention. The male bat had her son, which he loved more than anything else in the world. Louis finds out that the sea creature is actually Peter, who indeed loved him. Peter is found dead covered in seaweed, which further shows that he was the personification of the sea creature. It also proves that Peter didn't write any of the threatening letters. The next day when Pascal wakes up, another doctor lets him know that he sleepwalked in his sleep and wrote a prescription for Natalie. The writing on the prescription matches the writing on the letters. Officer Dalton believes that Pascal is not a suspect, but might have something to do with Peter's death. Pascal meets Perez once again and lets him know that Louis might be communicating with him or possibly reaching out to him. Dr. Perez decides to perform electrocardiography to connect Pascal's parts of the unconscious and conscious mind. He tries to set up signals between the 2 minds and hypnotizes him. Perez asks him to imagine himself at a beach along with another person. That other person is Louis, who tells him about the entire accident. The argument at the picnic began when Natalie refused Peter the candy she made for Louis. When she started to behave erratically, Peter thinks that she might have poisoned the candy. When the argument heated up, Peter told Louis to go back to the car, and before he could go away, Natalie shoved Peter off the cliff. A terrified Louis starts to walk backward and falls as well with his mother watching. Pascal comes back from the hypnosis. Louis seems to be dying, and Pascal tries to revive him. During a series of flashbacks, it is observed that Natalie tried to eliminate Louis various times, like poisoning his food, electrocuting him, and suffocating him. Louis is brought back to life but is still in a coma. Pascal has broken up with Sophie. Natalie has been shifted to a psychiatric ward and is pregnant with Pascal's baby, a consequence Pascal has to face of getting too close to her. Perez tells him that Natalie has been suffering from Munchausen syndrome by proxy, meaning that she both could and couldn't live without Louis. Louis is seen in a coma swimming in the river, and Peter tells him that he could go back if he likes. Peter lets him know that he loves Louis more than anything in the entire world. Peter then decides to wake up from the coma once and for all.